All right, welcome once again to your program on Cool TV. We're back once again with fantastic stories for you on your political platform, Crossfire. And I have Ishoma Gaine with me in the studio, and we definitely will be running the show together as usual. Ishoma, good morning. How are you doing today?
Beautiful. Good morning, Nigeria, and good morning, Cool TV. And happy birthday to Cool TV.
All right, it's really very interesting, and we are happy to come back to you today. And I'm very sure many of you have been seeing this very particular coded hashtag November 10, and you've been wondering exactly what it's all about. It's just 1 year today that we went live on TV from our studios in Lagos, and on that very particular day we launched 2 channels on the same day. It has never been done anywhere in the history of television in the whole wide world, where 2 television stations were launched on the same day, the same hour, the same minute. We just pressed the go button, and then Cool TV came alive and Wazobia TV came alive. And today is our first year anniversary, and so we're celebrating, and at the same time we're wishing ourselves happy anniversary. And at the same time we are saying, come and rejoice with us, come and be a part of our celebration. It's our 1 year. All we did, all we have been doing, let me put it that way, is that we're crawling. You watch out and wait for us, because if you are not watching us right now on any of the platforms that we have available, and don't forget, we're out of StarTimes platform, but you can watch us on the terrestrial. You can watch us particularly on Wazobia 1, where every time we will be bringing you fantastic stories and packages of Crossfire on regular basis. And don't forget, very soon, another very big platform is launching our channels, and then you can follow us actively as you have always done. Don't worry, it's a packaging. Like we said, 1 year, you see a lot of children just crawling, falling and rising, falling. But by the time they are 1 year, they just hit the, I'm telling you, they just hit the ground running. And then you begin to see them run, work, talk, do a lot of beautiful things, and that's what you should expect from us. It's getting better. That's the best, best way that we can put it. All right, quickly, let's go into the stories that we have today. Very fantastic story, and it will be very interesting to quickly take the first one and let you know. Mixed reactions as Buhari begins to look at all the emergency changes that the former president of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan, made shortly before he handed over May the 29th. And you keep wondering, the aviation head was changed, the head of the Nigerian police was changed, and one of the very controversial position or person in the history of the PDP, especially during the period of the former president, is the leadership at EFCC. And so yesterday, mixed reaction as Buhari fires EFCC boss, Lamode. And don't forget, we brought you stories about Lamode not, going through, some very hard time as courts and individuals and so many other associations have been saying that, he's been dragged into the net of an allegation of fraud, that monies that are being collected from people being arrested are not properly accounted for. And so it's been ongoing, and we brought it up on this same platform, Ishoma, if you remember, that we agitated that the EFCC should not probe their boss. No. They should bring in another institution who can do a fairer job and all of that. Now, don't forget, the president named another person who is acting in his capacity, in the person of Ibrahim Mangu, who is replacing him, and then Senate postponed the ex-boss probe indefinitely because it's supposed to be at the Senate to answer a few questions. And that is going to be, our first story today. Now, let's quickly let you into, what really went down into that particular story. And so when we begin to analyze, we'll throw more light on that. Now, another very interesting story that we'll be talking about today is that the Inspector General of Police set up units to urgently address police brutality. Now, members of the public who have suffered brutality and victimization in the hands of the police will soon have a sigh of relief, as the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, has approved the setting up of a compliant response unit, the operation of the squad which will be launched by on Friday by the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, will promptly investigate cases of police professional misconduct in the course of their duty. So, and that is going to be forming the focus of our show today. Why exactly do police allow themselves, to perpetrate this evil? There have been victimization and there have been brutality. Innocent lives and children, parents have been lost in the course of the Nigerian, members of the Nigerian police who perpetrate, this evil. And so, as we go on the show, we'll bring you more stories. And don't forget, it's our anniversary, and we'll be giving you a tip, of some of the things that has happened in the last 1 year. Now, don't forget, this is a wonderful and an anniversary package, and we have beautiful, beautiful things that has been lined up. Now, Ishoma, let's quickly take on the first story. Now, do you expect, or it was a shock to you, a rude shock to you too, that Buhari Saki FCC boss?
This was something I was always looking forward to, because the EFCC is supposed to be one of the holiest, one of the sanctimonious, one of the highly esteemed agencies in Nigeria, because we're talking about corruption here. And we have established that corruption is the bedrock of the problems of Nigeria. So we expect that the EFCC and the EFCC boss also will live above board. And all of that wasn't, well, let me say that they fell short of the expectations, because we expected that some of the anti-graft war cases, for example, those who were invited for questioning, we expected, cases, proper cases to have been instituted in the court, and then the courts would have done a thorough job in making sure that justice was brought, especially to the Nigerian people. But we have seen how the EFCC have fallen short of that. And I mean, look, I believe one thing, that the success of an agency depends largely on the personality of the individual who is leading that agency. But so far, I mean, all I'm after right now is the new gentleman we have heading the EFCC, let him hit the ground running. Let him restore faith and confidence in the Nigerian people. That is it for me. Corruption, and we're talking about fighting corruption at all levels of the Nigerian society. Yeah. From the politicians, from those in the banking and financial sector, to the average citizen out there who has perpetrated one sort of financial crime or the other. Let these individuals be brought to book, and let us collectively rid this nation of corruption. All right. That's it.
Now, I mean, my position on this is really very clear. I mean, if we have an institution that the government has actually strengthened and well constituted to perform a certain, to carry out a certain responsibility, or to perform a certain role, especially when it comes to financial and economic crime. In a nation like ours, Nigeria, where corruption is like the bedrock of every business endeavor, of every business activity, especially for public office holder, and it cuts across every strata of the Nigerian economy. Now, my challenge is not that if somebody who is supposed to be like the head of the family cannot provide leadership, you can't take decisions that are unbiased. You cannot give direction as to where the agency or the institution is going. You do not even come up with robust and well-established standards of operation, to say this is how we carry out our investigation. It must be without dissimulation. It must be without bias. It must be plain. It must be fair. It must be free. It must be conducted in a manner where everybody will be able to say, the credibility of the institution is second to none. Now, when you now have the head of such an institution being dragged into an allegation of fraud, when you are supposed to be the chief investigator of people who are perpetrating fraud in a country like Nigeria, there's a major problem we have. That means that house is set against itself. And any house that is divided against itself, it cannot stand. So a Lamode, who have an allegation of fraud hanging on his head, cannot continue in any capacity to preside over the affairs of an institution like EFCC. Now, and don't forget that shortly before then, there have been a lot of activities that is pointing to the fact that it became apolitical. It became apolitical because it was going about exercising and using his position to probably, do a lot of unlawful arrests here and there that are particularly incited by politics, and that is not what the EFCC...
That has happened over time. I mean, let's take a cursory look at the
history. It's a classical example of what happened recently, really.
That has been happening over time since the EFCC was set up. We have seen the EFCC being used as a tool to witch hunt members of the opposition, which shouldn't be, because the EFCC should be neutral, should be a neutral ground that should hold those, even those, those who belong to the party which is in power and those who belong to the opposition. But over time, now the issue for me is, can we have a robust EFCC? Can we have an unbiased EFCC from today henceforth? That is the question Nigerians need answers to.
We need to provide answers to.
That is it.
Now, but another very interesting thing, Ishoma, if I may say, when the EFCC was newly constituted, when we have Malam Nuhu Ribadu as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime, Commission, let us not, without gainsaying, it was a time, maybe because it was a fresh institution, they just started. But over the years, we have been able to prove the integrity and a very strong personality that Malam Nuhu Ribadu put up when he was the chairman of that commission.
So
we
far,
recorded exactly. It was super. Exactly. It was super in his conduct. That was the peak of the time when we know that if you are involved in economic crime or financial crime, and the hand of Nuhu Ribadu, gets to you, you are in trouble. And don't forget that it was because of the particular sensitivity and the accuracy and precision of his activity that time that put him in trouble. Yeah. They removed him, demoted him, because he actually, supposedly, in quotes, he was passing his bounds. He was actually encroaching into activities that could even put his life in danger. He was treading on particular grounds that are really very... these are cabals. These are people who have eaten deep into the affairs of...
But isn't that how it should be?
That is the way it should be, and that's why I'm telling you that that institution has been a good institution before now.
Yes,
it over time, its value depreciated, eroded, and that's because we had, even when Waziri was there, it supposedly was a bit fair when she started. But recently, she came out to say that, what really particularly messed up or marred his performance, her performance when she was in office was the fact that she was being, set up to fail. She's a woman, and people will definitely, she was, I can't remember the details of that report any longer, but it was like, I failed because I was set up to fail. That was what she was able to say, to make available in the public domain. But notwithstanding, this is an institution that needs to be strengthened. The current administration needs to go the extra mile to ensure that EFCC become a strong institution again. If the anti-graft war against corruption and corrupt persons in Nigeria will be somewhat reckoned with, to be able to reckon with, we need to strengthen this institution again.
The truth is,
and that's why we need to look at the credibility of the new man, the acting man.
Yes, well, the credibility is one thing, but then another thing we also need to consider is resource also at their disposal. Look,
let me tell you, that institution,
all over the world,
even though
institutions that fight corruption, institutions like this that fight corruption have the best IT personnel working there. People who can trace, people who are computer gurus, who can do a lot of findings and dealings via the internet.
And these are people who should be fantastically paid.
Thank you.
Pay them enough. Make them pay them enough, make them comfortable, give them gadgets, give them equipment, tools to work.
They should also be, well, let me put it, if I can refer to them as ghosts, rather, ghosts in the sense that nobody, no other individual will know who these people are. Because if you put their personality out there, in the public, come on, you've lost the war, because people will know who they are, and if care is not taken, these individuals will be bribed, or probably their lives may be in danger. But we need people in the IT sector to also work hand in hand with the EFCC. And look, I believe strongly that the EFCC is, well, it's underfunded. Let me put it that way. I
Anyway,
think the EFCC
we heard that.
is underfunded.
Lamode said that. Lamode said that at a point in time, shortly before the last administration wounded up their activity. But the truth is just that. It said the EFCC was underfunded. Now, but here you have an allegation of corruption and gain on your head. Monies that you collect from people arrested. Most of the time, you arrest people in their homes or in their offices, and you ransack the same environment where you eventually cut away into your custody.
And most of those monies moved to private accounts.
And they are moved to private accounts. It's a very sad.
I mean, but fixing this issue of corruption, I mean, it's not rocket science. That's it.
Anyway,
it's not rocket science. There are lots of unemployed graduates, I mean, seasoned graduates in the country. Employ these people, move them into the EFCC, agency, train these people adequately, let them understand what the job entails. But first of all, we need people who have passion, because over time we've had. I think the reason why we have some of these agencies failing is because we've had people who do not have passions in those agencies or those sectors. We just have people who need, a job to do. Let me put it that way. No passion. They just need a job to do, something that can pay them at the end of the month so they can meet up with their needs. But we need people who have passion for the job, who understand what this agency is about, but most importantly, people who are patriotic. Because until we have patriotic Nigerians heading and working in some of these agencies, we will not achieve success.
Anyway, I'm very sure there would be 101 reasons why the president eventually had to fire, the EFCC, the former EFCC boss, because he ceased being one since yesterday. But let's take this report before we quickly go on a short break. President Muhammadu Buhari has sacked the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Lamode. In a two-paragraph statement he issued last night, the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Femi Adesina, disclosed that Buhari has approved the appointment of Mr. Ibrahim Mustapha Magu as the acting chairman of the EFCC. According to him, Mr. Magu, who is an assistant commissioner of police, is to take over from Ibrahim Lamode, who is proceeding on terminal leave ahead of the former expiration of his tenure in February next year. And let me tell you something. If there is no pressure to actually sack Ibrahim Lamode, the presidency would have, we know President Muhammadu Buhari to be a very patient person. He would have just allowed him to end his tenure by February next year. Yeah. And that's just in a few months' time.
And the fresh charges will have been instituted against him.
Exactly. Anyway, let's quickly go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. We'll be right back.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.